Good day. My name, for broadcast purposes, is Grandpa 1940. As can be assumed from the video images, I'm a white-skinned Englishman with the silver hair which denotes that my name speaks the truth of my age. I hold conservative right-wing views, and I am proud of these views. I hold to the old-time definitions of British values, of decency, of honour, of love of one's country, of respect for the monarchy, and of the rule of law. It is in this last stance that I wish to talk to you today. You may have watched or heard about the recent Panorama programme on the BBC, which discussed in detail the government's proposals to require all primary schools, with no exceptions at all, to teach 5, 6 and 7-year-old kids about same-sex marriage, homosexual and lesbian sex, all under the guise of modern relationships in this also modern Britain. They plan to ease the propaganda literature disguised in books and papers which discuss how some children have 2 mummies or 2 daddies, but this is all so normal now because these sexual activities are all legal. The books also discuss how some children just don't feel comfortable as boys or girls, and so the whole transgender furore is minimised and distorted. Now, if the kids being subjected to this partisan and one-sided government-sponsored diatribe were of secondary school ages, I would have no real problem, as kids of that age have matured sufficiently to detect propaganda whenever and wherever it is pushed towards them. But 5 and 6-year-old kids, that is just plain wrong. But if you have watched the Panorama programme, you would have found that I am by no means alone in my opposition to having highly sexualised discussions, lessons, and let's face it, blatant propaganda pushed down the throats and ears of impressionable small children. You will have heard of the Muslim parents who daily have demonstrated against the introduction of these gay-related lessons and books. You might not have heard of the many Jewish families who also resent being told that their young children must be told about homosexual relationships because it will be part of the national curriculum. Haredi Jews, whose very life is bound by the words of their Torah, are as one with the Muslim parents who daily demonstrate outside that Birmingham school. The Panorama documentary also showed the Christian parents and associates who are also gearing up for a fight with their schools and their education leaders. The headlines roll ever onwards, as do the adverts. We note the leader of the Scots Conservatives has now been delivered of the child which she was expecting with her partner, Jen Wilson. Viewers may note the coy phrase, with her partner. Viewers and readers must be aware that it is a biological impossibility for one woman to make another one pregnant, however much they might love one another. The infamous Lloyds Bank advert, which purported to show freeze frames of British life, hoped to make viewers accept that, to my mind, some weirdo asking another weirdo to marry him is part of normal British life. It is yet another attempt to fix the ideals that same-sex marriage is here to stay, and we should all just shut up and get used to it. Ministerial assurances given at the time of the Act going through Parliament were plain and straightforward. No teacher is under any duty to promote or endorse a particular view of marriage, and neither would they be as a result of any revised guidance in the future. The wording of the Act is clear. The Secretary of State issued guidance to ensure that pupils learnt. It is worth paying attention to that word, learn. The nature of marriage and its importance for family life and the bringing up of children. Teaching in this area should always be balanced and sensitive to pupils' backgrounds, which for many will be reflected in their school's ethos. Guidance contrary to that ethos would not meet the criteria. If viewers desire reassurance or want further statements on this policy, I draw their attention to the Lord Pannock QC, who I think is universally recognised as an expert in this area. He said that it is inconceivable that a teacher could be lawfully disciplined for explaining to a child of an appropriate age that the law allows for same-sex marriage, but that many religions, or indeed the teacher, do not believe in it. These same-sex apologists and supporters have switched their attacks and now push for relationships, legal and warranted, as part of their charge to change the basic viewpoint of a whole generation. It is my sincere belief that parents of all religions and of none should stick together and state categorically that if the plans for these lessons and attitude are not withdrawn from primary schools before the stated time, they will withdraw their children and commence homeschooling, as is their legal and lawful right. I thank you for watching and listening, and hope to see you again soon.